Good evening everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. This is Takkar Rapid Series and we are starting with the new session here for next year prelims examination, that is Prelims 2024. Okay, and this is the class 1, so we are discussing daily 10 MCQs, but now up till now we discussed 10 MCQs. We are intending to increase the number of MCQs to help students have the wider coverage of the current affairs based MCQs, and that's why today we have come up with this 15 MCQs. Also from the 1st June we will come with a new format to discuss these daily current affairs based MCQs also. So stay tuned and follow this throughout the year, 365 days, and you can understand the number of MCQs based on these current affairs, let's say you will be solving throughout year. So whatever the study material you are referring, be it let's say daily newspaper that you are reading or daily current affairs booklets that you are referring of any coaching class, including Lukmaan IAS coaching class, we have daily, let's say we are posting daily current affairs booklet, 5 important topics on our portal, so you can refer to that also. And if you after that when we solve these MCQs, it helps us to understand what kind of question can be asked from that information that we are reading. कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो उसके बाद में उसको टेस्ट करना ज़रूरी है, हमारे मेमोरी को, हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को, एंड दैट्स व्हाई सॉल्विंग दिस MCQs इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नाउ वी आर हैविंग लीड टॉपिक फॉर टुडे, Class 1, a special 301 report. It was recently in news, and based on this we have framed the first MCQ. Let's try to solve these MCQs simultaneously and give your answers in the live chat I am following here on YouTube. ठीक है, तो मैं साथ साथ आपको मोटिवेट करूँगा and it will help you to have a competitive environment. साथ साथ बाकी स्टूडेंट्स भी जब आंसर करेंगे तो it will boost your morale. Now, special 301 report was in news, and this report is released by which of the following organization? If you have read about this news, surely you will get the correct answer, and the correct answer is US Trade Representative. This USTR releases from time to time this particular special 301 report, and some countries, basically it is reviewing about 100 countries. And what it reviews under this report, it reviews basically the intellectual property rights or IPR protections within those jurisdictions, especially the important jurisdictions with which the US is having trade, significant trade we can say. And India has been put on priority watch list. Priority watch list under this report. Now, the meaning of this, significance of putting under priority watch list, that means these jurisdictions do not give importance to protection to the IP rights or intellectual property rights. So, IPR regime of these countries is weak. This is what it is signifying, and India has been put on continuously on this priority watch list. Remember, special 301 report, US Trade Representative. Okay, fine. So let's move on to next question. Okay. In the context of water pollution, consider the following statements, and we have to identify the correct statements here. We have to identify the correct statements. Okay, so obviously these let's say questions that we are framing, we'll try to implement the new strategy that UPSC has adopted this year, only 1, only 2, only 3. From tomorrow onwards, these will be the nature of MCQs framing, because out of 100, around 46 to 47 MCQ had a similar kind of let's say option framing like this. तो हम भी उसी तरीके से फ्रेम करेंगे जो कल से जो भी MCQs हम फ्रेम करने वाले हैं. Talking about the biological oxygen demand, let's say why it was in news recently, Daman Ganga river in Gujarat. It is believed that the kind of effluents that are entering into this Daman Ganga river, it is polluting this river, and the kind of increase in BOD will happen there. It will create a kind of dead zone in this river. Biochemical oxygen demand or biological oxygen demand measures the availability of oxygen in the water to break down both organic and inorganic materials present in the water bodies. This is not correct. It is regarding only organic. So biological oxygen demand means the amount of dissolved oxygen that is required for microorganisms to degrade or break down the organic matter in that water body. Okay, so this is incorrect statement, and if you see the options, one is eliminated, all maybe one hoga, you will get the correct answer as 2 and 3 only. Am I not right? ठीक है, बाकी स्टूडेंट्स जो है आप आपके कमेंट बॉक्स में लाइव चैट में आप आंसर लिख सकते हैं आपका. एंड यस, second statement, treatment of wastewater before discharging into the water body tends to reduce BOD. Of course, why? Because the discharge of the wastewater enriches that water body because of inflow of nutrients. Okay, and these nutrients enriches, that means it increases the growth of algae in that water body and the floating plants. When they are dying, that settles on the ground, let's say bottom of that water body, that needs to be broken down by the microorganisms which are completely absorbing the dissolved oxygen from that water body, and that's why other animals do not get that access to the dissolved oxygen. That's why fish and other animals die. Right? Eutrophication of the water bodies. This is what the process is. So we can say that now treatment of wastewater will reduce these nutrients. That's why it is helpful. Higher the pollution, greater the level of biological oxygen demand. This is also true, because higher the pollution, more nutrients, more we can say that the eutrophication, more level of biological demand is there, oxygen demand. So that's why answer is B here. Okay, fine. Now let's move on to next question. Look at this, Daman Ganga river and all, it is mentioned there. Now, a new initiative to track the global greenhouse gas emission, namely Global Greenhouse Gas Watch. It has been launched by which of the following organizations? This year too, they have asked 2-3 questions related to international organizations and whatever the initiatives they are having. So you should be aware about such initiative, especially related to climate change, environment protection, biodiversity conservation and all. Talking about this Global Greenhouse Gas Watch, this has been launched by World Meteorological Organization, WMO. A similar kind of report is given by, we can say, United Nations Environment Program, that is emission gap report is there. Right? So different organizations have their own, let's say, measuring instruments or the surveys related to greenhouse gases, and we should be knowing about them. Fine. Okay, so here D is the correct answer. Fourth question, in the context of human pan-genome map, we have to identify the correct statements here. Pan-genome was recently in news. See, there is reference genome. Reference genome is basically of one single person. One person or one living being. ठीक है, तो reference genome. But pan genome is basically of, it is a kind of graphical representation. It is a kind of graphical representation of multiple genome, genetic material of multiple people or overall population. This reference genome is a kind of linear representation. Linear representation, it is graphical. So ये जो बोला है, it represent linear sequence, ये incorrect statement. It is graphical. Each chromosome in the pan genome can be imagined as a bamboo with stem with nodes, we can say, having nodes. This is true, this is correct statement. It helps us understand that why particular people, set of people are having genetic disorders and the others are not having them. So pan genome studies are very important. ठीक है, तो ये 2 only is the correct answer. Fine. Understanding a human pan genome map, explained Indian Express page. In the context of news sorry, not, it is not news, ठीक है, it's a typo error, ठीक है. New Space India Limited, this was formed as a public sector entity undertaking in 2019, and yes, we have to identify the correct statements about it. Now, it is the commercial arm of Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. This is true, but it is not under Department of Commerce. भले ही commercial arm है, but it is under Department of Space, of course. One can easily eliminate this, incorrect. And if you see the options, again, although such kind of elimination method was not fruitful this year's prelims examination, but you never know. You need to always keep on tab on, we can say, different kinds of method, how to approach to arrive at the right answer. Okay. Now it is, you can see that the remaining only is, we can say, 2 only. भले आपको headquarter पता नहीं है, but you will get this correct. The main objective of NSIL is to scale up participation of private sector in the Indian space program. This is not the objective of NSIL, it is the objective of InSpace. ये capital है, ये capital है, E small है. Okay, so what is this? Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. This InSpace was again formed for promotion of, we can say that, private sector in the space program, like new startups are being formed, तो उनको जो इसरो का infrastructure है, laboratories है, वो use करने के लिए available करके देना, it is, let's say, we can say, function of InSpace. And now recently Indian Space Policy 2023 has been announced, and these two entities along with ISRO have been given clear demarcation of functions and their authorities. All these are mentioned there in that policy. So it is incorrect statement. NSIL is having mandate to have or look for the commercial launches of ISRO. Commercial launches, like suppose the foreign countries or any company want to launch their satellites with the help of infrastructure of ISRO. So that will be looked after by NSIL. ठीक है? So B is the correct answer. Right. Consider the following statements regarding National Medical Device Policy 2023. Yes, it was recently news, this policy, and regarding that we have to identify the correct statement. Okay, medical devices, you should know that medical drugs से related हमारे यहाँ पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा policy and regulatory environment है, but there was not related to devices, and that created some kind of regulatory lapses. The Johnson & Johnson hip plants issue fiasco that had happened in previous decade, ठीक है, तो वो आपको केस याद रखना है हमेशा. And that happened because of lacuna or loophole in our regulatory environment, regulatory, we can say that, ecosystem. So now National Medical Device Policy is one such policy which not only strengthen the regulatory aspect, but it will promote the exports of these devices from India. It aims to help the domestic medical devices sector market achieve 50% of 50%, मतलब possible तो है क्या, ये logic आप लगा सकते हैं, within 25 years. This is not correct. It aims to, have or capture about 10 to 12% of global market share over next 25 years. So it is factually incorrect. The policy envisaged the creation of dedicated export promotion council for the sector under Department of Health. This is true, and this is going to help promote these devices from India. It contains provisions of pricing regulation by Bureau of Indian Standards. This is also correct provision of this policy, and that's why answer is 2 and 3 only. Okay, D is the correct answer here. Right, now with reference to ordinances, consider the following statements. Now basics of ordinance one should clearly understand. In our constitution, Article 123 and Article 213 provides for this ordinance making power with the executive. At central level, President promulgates the ordinances under this Article 123, and at state level, the Governor promulgates ordinances under Article 213. Now what is ordinance? We are aware that the Parliament or the legislative bodies, they are not in session throughout year. They are having different sessions and then sittings within the session. Now, when these are not in session, then in such kind of situation, what will be the legislative function? So, legislative function is carried out by the executive for that time period, and if suppose some emergency situation arrives, these powers are given to the president and governor, we can say. Okay, so this is, now there are some restrictions in promulgation of ordinance or ordinance making powers. What kind of restrictions? For example, this ordinance cannot, let's say, live beyond the 6 weeks of reassembly of that legislative body. Okay, within 6 weeks of reassembly, it has to be ratified or passed, enacted by the parliament. Otherwise, it lapses. Otherwise, it lapses. Now, what can be, we can say, maximum life of ordinance? Within 6 months, at max the time period between 2 sessions of the parliament, it is 6 months, and 6 months, and when it reassembles 6 weeks. So 6 months and 6 weeks is the maximum time period for which ordinance remains in the enactment, we can say, or it is implemented, and after that it lapses. It can be repromulgated for n number of times. ठीक है, तो उसमें कोई भी restriction नहीं है, but restrictions are surely there related to what kind of provisions that can be, let's say, used within, we can say, constitution. Now, the ordinance cannot be used to revoke any fundamental right mentioned in the part 3 of Indian constitution. So, second statement, to revoke the fundamental right, ये सही नहीं है. It cannot be promulgated to revoke the fundamental rights of the citizens. Also, the ordinance can be promulgated on those subjects which are mentioned or where we can say parliament is having power. ठीक है, उसके beyond जाके वो नहीं कर सकता है. Right. So the power of president to legislate by ordinance is not a parallel power of legislation. Surely it is not parallel power, and this ordinance has to be put or ratified on the floor of parliament within 6 weeks of reassembly. So we can say it is correct, and that's why answer is 1 only. Okay, fine. Let's move on to next question. Consider the following statements about small modular reactors. Yes, Indian government is looking to explore this possibility of having small modular reactors, which is very unique thing. Some characteristics of this small modular reactors, they are working on the similar principles of traditional nuclear reactors, large nuclear reactors, but there are some benefits, advantages of having these SMRs. Like, for example, it reduces the cost of manufacturing. Also, we can say that it reduces the kind of, we can say, area that is required for having this nuclear reactor at place. Along with that, it is fabricated at shop. ठीक है, तो ये fabrication होके कहीं पे भी install हो सकता है very easily. So these are some advantages, but yes, of course, it is small, and that's why its power producing capacity is up to 300 megawatt per unit, which is, we can say, about one third of traditional nuclear power plants, like 800 to 900 or even up to 1200, we can say, the megawatt per unit. ठीक है, so we can say this is correct statement, and the cost of operation is low compared, so this is also true, and that's why D is the correct answer here. Fine? Okay. Let's move on to next question. With reference to generative artificial intelligence, consider the following statements. Which of the above given statements are correct? So we have to identify the correct statement about generative AI. So yes, it has made news recently because of, we can say, ChatGPT and different kinds of tools that these companies are launching to use AI. Generative AI uses the kind of data, large amount of that data, and it tries to provide the solution for any kind of question, problem that is put forward there. So it is using kind of artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, ये सारी चीज़ें हो रही है, and along with that the neural networks that are being used. Okay, Now the implications. AI impacts the employment levels in software and business processing services. This is true. So it is considered as one of the negative impact also, because it may lead to some kind of changes in the labor market. ठीक है. Now AI provides a tool for less proficient workers to narrow the gap with the able ones. Let me give you one example. Let's say you give command to generative AI और open AI जो platform है उस पर आप कोई भी command दीजिए, वहाँ पे सारी चीज़ उसका आंसर लिख के, एक essay आप 150 words का बोलिए, 150 words में essay topic पे लिख के देगा within moments. And let's say the person may not be having that skill to write 150 words, but still we can say it is matching that skill simply by asking that platform to write that essay. तो ये जो लेस प्रोफिशिएंट वर्कर्स को ये जो स्किल गैप होता है एबल वन स्किल्ड प्रोफेशनल्स का, वो रिड्यूस कर देगा. सो दिस इज ट्रू. एआई कैन मिटिगेट द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ हैकिंग, फेक न्यूज एंड डीप फेक्स. ये मिटिगेट नहीं करेगा, ये एग्रीवेट करेगा. एआई इज one such tool which can be used for spreading fake news, deep fakes. Okay, and that's why this is incorrect statement. So answer is 1 and 2 only. Answer is 1 and 2 only. ठीक है? Okay. Now which of the following statements regarding UN peacekeeping mission is correct? Sorry, is not correct. It is mentioning not correct. ये आपको ठीक से याद रखना है. But this year out of 100 I guess there was no such question with this command incorrect or not correct. ठीक है. So students need not to worry about that aspect. ये इस साल में जिस तरीके से क्वेश्चन पूछे उसमें. But yes, of course, we should be ready with such kind of commands in our examination. United Nations Security Council has the power to authorize peacekeeping operations. This is true. Peacekeeping, UN peacekeeping is celebrating 75 years of its establishment. It was started in 1948. 75 years. Okay, so we can expect such question next year. Now, UN Security Council has the authority to sanction or authorize peacekeeping missions or operations. This is true. Asian countries lead in the contribution to UN peacekeeping forces. This is true. Like Bangladesh, India are the leading countries in the contribution to peacekeeping missions. No all women contingent to peacekeeping has been constituted so far. This is not correct. India was the first country in 2007 to send all women contingent for UN peacekeeping mission. Along with that, recently we had sent all India, all women, not all India, all women, we can say that contingent to Abyei region. This is the disputed region between Sudan and South Sudan. ठीक है, Sudan and South Sudan. छोटा सा रीजन है डिस्प्यूटेड Abyei रीजन, तो वहाँ पे ये पीस कीपिंग मिशन गया हुआ है. So it is incorrect. So we got the answer as C, not correct पूछा हुआ है. Also the principles and guidelines of this UN peacekeeping are mentioned in the capstone doctrine. ऐसे आपको पूछा जा सकता है capstone doctrine sometimes mentioned in news in the context of UN peacekeeping mission. ऐसे भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, right? So yes, we should be ready with this. This is correct statement. So C is the correct answer here. Guam Islands, often seen in news, are situated in which of the following oceans? Guam Islands are located in North Pacific Ocean. So B is the correct answer. Let's have a look at map also. Guam Islands, why it was in news? Recently, some of the Chinese hackers had, let's say, invaded or tried to attack the critical infrastructure of US. US is having the outpost here, military outpost at Guam Islands. Remember this. It is located in North Pacific Ocean region. ठीक है. With the same context, this next question is formed here. Which of the following best describes the term Volt Typhoon? ठीक है. So basically this is the group of Chinese hackers which had recently targeted critical infrastructure of USA on this Guam Island. Volt Typhoon. अब टाइफून से आपको लग सकता है कि ये कोई ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन आया था क्या पैसिफिक रीजन में, फिलीपाइंस में, चाइना में. बट इट इज़, वी कैन से दैट चाइना स्पॉन्सर्ड हैकिंग ग्रुप है. तो रिसेंटली लेट्स से USA वार्नड what is this Volt Typhoon China backed hacking group, इससे related. Now self incrimination. Now what is self incrimination? Okay, so Article 20 of Indian Constitution talks about the Clause 3 of the Constitution talks about self-incrimination. It is a kind of, we can say, principle of natural justice also on a broader level. So self-incrimination means any person, his own, let's say, statement cannot be used to incriminate that person by the judiciary, or we can say the legal forces, law. ठीक है, सो लॉ इम्प्लीमेंटिंग एजेंसीज. तो ये सेल्फ इंक्रिमिनेशन वाला है. उसके खुद का जो बयान होता है वो खुद के अगेंस्ट यूज नहीं कर सकता है, उसको कहीं से और एविडेंसेस से प्रूव करना पड़ेगा. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ सेल्फ, इट इज काइंड ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू प्रोटेक्ट people and their life. So it is correct, the privilege against the self incrimination is only available at pre-trial stage. This is not correct. It is available both at pre-trial and trial stage. It does not apply to the departmental inquiries into allegations against the government servant. Yes, that is true, because these proceedings are not criminal proceedings. They are civil proceedings. ये कोई क्रिमिनल प्रोसीडिंग्स नहीं होती है. सो वी कैन से दैट इट इज करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. 1 and 3 ओनली इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर. नाउ 14th क्वेश्चन. ओके, सो ऑफिस ऑफ रजिस्ट्रार जनरल एंड सेंसस कमिश्नर, दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑफिस इज इंडिपेंडेंट ऑफिस अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स. ये गलत दिया हुआ है, स्टैटिस्टिक्स मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स. ठीक है, इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट है. नाउ इट इज द स्टैट्यूटरी अथॉरिटी वेस्टेड विद द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ कंडक्टिंग हाउसिंग एंड पॉपुलेशन सेंसस इन इंडिया अंडर सेंसस एक्ट 1940. दिस इज ट्रू, दिस इज करेक्ट. इट कंडक्ट्स अ मदर टंग सर्वे to document the linguistic features of the selected mother tongues. This is true. Every 10 years, along with regular census, the mother tongue census survey is also conducted by this authority, and that's why answer again is 2 and 3 only. Okay, why it was in news? Because basically the online or digital census will be conducted, self enumeration will be conducted, and this authority has created one portal for such self enumeration for the upcoming census year. Okay, now the last question, it is related to supercomputers, and we have to identify the correct statements about supercomputers. Yes, the computing power of supercomputer is measured in petaflops. This is true, because it is a very high speed, or we can say computing ability of supercomputers. Petaflops. Now flops is the metric used to measure the computational performance. That is also true statement. Now in supercomputers there is no role of old technologies like memory bandwidth. Now one should know that the computational performance of these supercomputers not only depends on the existing new technologies, we can say, but also old technologies like memory bandwidth, or the kind of, let's say, hardware that is used. Okay, so this is, you should know that they are developing on the existing technology, वो outdated नहीं हुआ है. So this is incorrect statement, and that's why 1 and 2 only is the correct answer. Fine. Okay, so these are today's 10 MCQs, and yes, one should know here that the prelims is done. Some of the students may be taking gap for 2-3 days. That is much needed. Holiday is required by the students, but do not get, let's say, demotivated because of the nature of question paper this year for prelims examination. ठीक है, कुछ students जो है बाउंड्री लाइन पे होंगे, लगता है कट ऑफ कम आएगा, थोड़ा सा 70 to 80 है, 75 to 80 है, 80 to 85 है. Let me tell you that you keep preparing for your mains examination for next 20 to 25 days. Now what to read for next 20 to 25 days? Yes, you should prepare your optional. Try to revise your optional, whatever the notes you have made. 70% optional should be revised by next 20 days, 25 days. जब तक रिजल्ट नहीं आता है, तो इसका आपको फ़ायदा ही होगा. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट जो है ये डर के बीच में इनकी पढ़ाई नहीं होगी अगले 20 दिन. बट वन शुड नो दैट अगर आपका बाउंड्री पे है तो यू शुड नॉट गेट डीमोटिवेटेड। आपने ये 20-25 दिन यूज़ कर लेने चाहिए। अगर आप ये नहीं करते और आपका प्रीलिम्स का रिजल्ट पॉजिटिव आता है तो यू लॉस्ट दिस 20-25 डेज। अदर स्टूडेंट्स हैव गॉट एज बिफोर यू, ठीक है, तो आपका मेंस में परफॉर्मेंस वीक रहेगा। सो दैट्स व्हाई यू शुड कीप स्टडिंग मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, लेट द रिजल्ट कम आउट, ठीक है, रिजल्ट आने दीजिए। और रिजल्ट अगर निगेटिव भी आता है तो वी हैव गॉट the 1 year Tucker test series program where you can have the complete revision plan for next 1 year, जहाँ पे आपकी राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस भी होगी, आपका प्रीलिम्स का थ्रू आउट ईयर प्रैक्टिस होगा, एमसीक्यू प्रैक्टिस होगा, along with that essay writing practice, CSAT solving practice, current affairs, everything will be done. And this is the right kind of program for those students who are not able to get through this year in prelims examination. Fine, so you can inquire with the management regarding the details of this program if you want to join it. Fine, let us stop then for today. Thank you.